30 years ago, there were 4 great warriors that saved the world from devastation. The fighter, a brute with powerful strength, known for their technique. The mage, a master of the magical arts, known for their arcane antics. The cunning thief, great at backstabbing, and known for their stealth. And finally, the Jew, known for their belief? Thank God I didn't make a Jew joke. That would be pretty bad. Cartman, no!
KKK douchebag the Jew, who probably can also handle our finances. Hooray!
Welcome to the game that I can only show like 30% of. SouthPark, The Stick of Truth. Developed by Obsidian Entertainment and published by Ubisoft. Released on February 13th, 2018 for PS4 and March 4th, 2014 for PS3. The game was awarded with some decent reviews, an average of an 8 or 9. This game follows the SouthPark pals as they embark on the journey of a lifetime, completing tasks and defeating zombies. This is going to be a bumpy ride, folks. Hold on. Our adventure starts as a new kid enters the area, and that kid is us. We meet some of the others and head to Koopa something, where we talk to Cartman and tell them our name. It's always better to just accept it. We're in the magical war between the humans and the elves, and we currently hold the power of the Stick of Truth. After grabbing some warriors, we regain the stick from Jimmy. Everyone heads to bed, but during the night, some lights shine through your window, and I don't know what I can show you, but let's just say things are going in some areas where those things should just not go. After fighting some aliens, we escape the ship, and it crashes to the ground. We come back to Koopa Keep and realize that the stick is gone again. We go after the elves, and I choose Cartman over Kyle. Sorry, fellow Kyle. Also, this green goop spilled all over the town. Now you may be wondering, what does the goop do? Well, if I said it turns them into handicapped gingers, would you be surprised? Well, good thing it's not that. They turn into certain German dictator zombies, including his actual voice. The government plans to lay waste to the town to contain the virus. We headed to the school to go fight the elves, since they stole the damn stick again. After breaking our way through, we find that they don't have it, and Clyde does. But how? He was banned! The cheater! I'll get you for this. Ooh, bedtime. I really hope I don't see my parents having sex tonight. You guys know where this is going, right? I can't show it, but these little gnomes steal my underwear, and that leads me to getting slapped by my dad's nuts as we're right under them doing it. More on that later. We need the girls to fight Clyde, and we do some tasks including heading to my country and my province. We also go to a Baby Yeet location and fight giant fetus dictators. Moving on, there is a nuke in this dude's ass, and we need to enter it. And yeah, I can't show much of this either. We fight Clyde and kick him to his death. The government shows up, he gets naked, his balls are out, and he says that we have the ability to make Facebook friends insanely fast. He offers us to join him with the stick, but we all refuse. We're strong, we are Kenny. After fighting Kenny, ignore the dog that's there, the balls are. We defeat Kenny like 4 times, until finally we break the sacred rule. We fart on his balls. The world gets converted back to normal, all the damage is undone, and we are thrown the stick away.
So what do you guys want to play now? How about Dinosaur Hunters? Or Pharaohs and Mummies? Let's ask Douchebag. What do you want to play next, dude? Screw you guys. I'm going home. Wow, what a dick.
Okay, so that's a lot, and that's a lot I can't talk about. Either way, let's talk about this campaign. It is really good. If you thought about a SouthPark game, this would be such a great example. The game is so often complimented for this fact. It just takes all the jokes, characters, and areas from the show and places them perfectly into the game. I don't watch SouthPark, so I don't know all the inside jokes, but I never felt like I was outside the joke. I never felt lost. You don't need to watch SouthPark, just some basic knowledge. It also took the art style from the show and implemented it perfectly. These graphics are also really good, since they are animated and basic. This game will look good for years to come, and as long as the show looks like this, it will look good. Movement is exactly the same as the show. Characters look perfect, and Trey Parker and Matt Stone voiced a lot of the characters and worked closely on the game to make it the perfect adaptation. I played this on the PS5, of the PS4 port, from the PS3, and for a game that released 2014 and 2018 respectively, this could be released today, and I don't think anyone would complain. Now, while this story is perfectly imported from the show, that really isn't a good thing. South Park is a show that is known for being crude and disgusting, and that same energy was brought into the game. Now, I'm not going to complain about some nudity, who cares, or swearing or any controversial problems. That is one of the reasons I wanted to keep playing. I wanted to see how far the game would go. The answer? A bit too far. If the line is like people having sex, the game is so far from the line, it looks like a toothpick. While describing the story, I'm sure you could tell that I could barely show the game, and let's go over what I couldn't show. Now, I'm not monetized, so I'm not afraid of demonetization, but I don't really want to strike, so I will tread very lightly. There are many nude scenes. 3 doors in a row have a naked woman, a naked man, and a dude doing something unspeakable to a horse. Okay, so that's kind of gross. Like, I'm not mad, it's just not really funny. It's supposed to shock you, but I just don't care. There are the zombies, they wear the symbol, they raise their arm, and they literally have voice clips of a speech. Okay, that's not terrible. Then we get some fetus zombies, and that's a bit worse. But something I find a little too far is our parents doing it on top of us. That just seems so gross, and I hate that I sat here for 60 seconds watching them for a trophy. It's the same humor from the show, and that's to a fault. But can I lower a score for just being the same as the source material? I think so, since I can give criticism to the show for having some bad shock humor, something the game shares. Now, the campaign has other problems that aren't just bad humor. The game has some very long moments, entering Canada as you walk back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's like in Hogwarts Legacy if I told you to go grab something, but that item can only be used back where you started, but where you started is now destroyed, so you need to head back and look for the clues, and it just does not work. I know that's the joke, but it isn't funny when you're the one getting pranked. The last fight was dragged on so much. It felt like I was hoping for it to end. Praying, in fact. Jesus. It was cool to see each friend getting tagged away, but just having Kenny come back every time I killed her, not fun. And overall, it's South Park. I don't really like South Park, but we're playing the game and not watching the show. But in fact, this is a clip from the show. Wait, no, this is the game. Or is it? Yeah, it is. That's the point I'm trying to make before we head into the gameplay. The cutscenes do look really good and are perfect for the game. It really makes you feel like you're in South Park, and whether you like the game or not, this is a perfect adaptation. But what is a game without the gameplay? And what does this South Park game have to offer? Well, some really good mechanics actually. The game is a turn-based fantasy RPG. Yeah, in a South Park game. You can collect hundreds of items like weapons, armor, and junk which you can sell later. When you encounter a fight, you and your teammate will fight in a 2x4 grid. You can choose to attack with your weapon, range weapon, abilities, magic, or use items. Items play a huge role in staying alive and are easily found. If you use an item, you can take another turn, and this helps with the flow of combat. The animations at play when using some of these moves are really good too, and they work well. On harder fights, this can lead to some really good strategies and thinking, and it's all about knowing what's going to happen next. You can place fragments on your gear that can change stats, and this is done perfectly well. The abilities you unlock throughout the game can also be upgraded using the system here, where you can gain a level, increase your systems. You can use your power to make a bunch of friends, and that can be really helpful for upgrading your skills, which can allow for things like more health, damage, and mechanics. All these systems lead to a great gameplay experience, and with the 4 classes to choose, I'm sure there are some builds that can be made, and that's always a plus. I really wanted to play a turn-based game, and this was the perfect fix. The actual game is a perfect balance of fighting, exploring, and collecting. Using no items can be pretty enthralling, as sometimes they will change the entire mechanics of the match. Learning new moves was also very fun, as you never know when they would just be devastating, and I think that's why I love this game so much, and being able to adjust to the enemies by using moves and items made the game way more entertaining. I think the gameplay works really well with the South Park show. How? I'm not really sure, but it just does. Like, imagine a turn-based Breaking Bad game. That doesn't sound great. Well, I would play it. I should write that down. But we can't have gameplay without a world to explore. I mean, you can, but mostly you have both. And South Park really feels like South Park. Crazy, right? The map is perfectly made to the show, I think. I've never watched it, and that can be pretty fun. It does get boring at the start, as it's a lot of going back and forth, which is kind of seen throughout the entire game. As you play, you can unlock travel points, and that's where the game gets much better. The game is somewhat open world. You have the entire South Park town to explore, and even more. And you get rewarded with items that you can equip, use, or sell that makes exploring useful. I explored a lot, and I think it comes down to two things. I wanted to get more items to use in battle, as I was going through lots, and I wanted to see what absurd scene was next. I won't lie, that may seem weird, but I just wanted to see how far they would go, and it really complemented the just terrible humor. Now, while the game lets you explore the town in a somewhat open world, that can be a problem when there are the same enemies in your path. Getting through levels can get really annoying when there are battles that feel the exact same as last time, since the mechanics don't really change unless the enemy is somewhat important, and the enemies don't always die fast, so it can get boring watching Cartman fart for the 10th time. Near the end, I was kinda hoping the game would just let me end. There is also the problem of repetitive areas in the game, a lot of going back and forth, lots of bad enemies, and lots of random occurrences. And while it can be boring to fight, it's also such a great gameplay mechanic, and while the music is dull, it's not terrible. And this game surprised me. What do you think a South Park game would feel like? Was it this? Me neither. It just plays better than the show can restrain it. I entered this knowing that the humor was going to be terribly gross, the animation and art style basic, and the characters to feel like little kids with no dimensions. Can you tell I don't watch the show? But to my surprise, the game has raised past my speculations. The game just plays great, and that scratched that itch I was feeling. And while the game gets a bit more boring at the end, it still grabbed me back near the end. And that's why I gave the game a 90 out of 100. Is that too high? Maybe, but I usually rate a game higher when I continue to play it for a full day. My attention span can be high, but I need to be interested in the game that I'm playing. And this was perfect. And that's my review of South Park? That is my review of South Park: The Stick of Truth. Stay creative, stay unique, stay intelligent. Oh, Canada, our home and native land.